Hello, philosophers. I am going to summarize this famous book chapter by chapter, but please support me with your like and subscription. Basically, Lincoln the Unknown by Dale Carnegie is a revealing biography that uncovers the lesser-known struggles, failures, and personal battles behind Abraham Lincoln's rise from poverty to the presidency. Unlike typical history books that glorify Lincoln as a flawless hero, this book shows his human side, his heartbreaking losses, political defeats, bouts of depression, and the immense pressure he faced during the Civil War. Carnegie digs deep into Lincoln's early years, his self-education, his turbulent marriage, and the difficult decisions he made to preserve the Union and end slavery. This book isn't just about Lincoln's achievements. It's about how perseverance, humility, and moral courage can transform an ordinary person into an extraordinary leader. Let's start it from the first chapter. Chapter 1. Lincoln's Humble Beginnings. Abraham Lincoln was born in a tiny log cabin in Kentucky in 1809. His family was very poor, and they lived a hard life. His father, Thomas Lincoln, worked as a farmer but struggled to make enough money. His mother, Nancy Hanks Lincoln, died when he was just 9 years old, leaving him heartbroken. As a boy, Lincoln had almost no formal education. He went to school for less than a year in total. But he loved reading and would walk miles to borrow books. He read the Bible, Aesop's fables, and anything else he could find. Even though he had little schooling, he taught himself through books and hard work. Life was tough for young Lincoln. His family moved to Indiana when he was 7, and they lived in the wilderness. He chopped wood, plowed fields, and did all kinds of manual labor. But he never complained. Instead, he used these struggles to make him stronger. His difficult childhood shaped his character and made him humble. Despite his hardships, Lincoln was known for his kindness and humor. He loved telling stories and making people laugh. Even as a boy, he stood out because of his honesty and intelligence. These qualities would later help him become one of America's greatest leaders. Chapter 2. Young Lincoln's Struggles. As a young man, Lincoln worked many odd jobs to survive. He was a shopkeeper, a postmaster, and even a rail splitter, cutting logs for fences. But he failed many times. His first business went bankrupt, leaving him in debt for years. Instead of giving up, he kept working hard to pay back every penny. Lincoln also tried politics early on. He ran for the Illinois legislature, but lost his first election. He didn't let failure stop him. He kept speaking in public, improving his skills, and connecting with people. His honesty and sincerity made people trust him, even when he wasn't successful at first. One of Lincoln's biggest struggles was love. He fell in love with Anne Rutledge, but she died young, leaving him heartbroken. Later, he had a troubled engagement to Mary Todd, which almost didn't happen because of his doubts. Love was not easy for Lincoln, and these painful experiences made him even more thoughtful and sad. Through all these struggles, Lincoln never lost hope. He kept learning, working, and trying new things. His failures taught him patience and resilience. These hard years prepared him for the bigger challenges he would face later in life. Chapter 3. Lincoln's Early Political Career. Lincoln's political career started slowly. After losing his first election, he kept trying and finally won a seat in the Illinois legislature. He worked hard, studying law in his free time. He didn't go to law school. He taught himself by reading books and working with other lawyers. As a lawyer, Lincoln became known for his fairness and clever arguments. He traveled across Illinois, handling all kinds of cases. People liked him because he was honest and never cheated anyone. He even earned the nickname Honest Abe because of his integrity. Lincoln also spoke out against slavery, though he wasn't always a radical abolitionist. At first, he believed slavery should not spread to new states, but didn't call for ending it completely. Over time, his views grew stronger as he saw more of slavery's cruelty. His debates with Stephen Douglas made him famous and helped him rise in politics. By the 1850s, Lincoln was becoming a national leader. He joined the new Republican Party and spoke about keeping the country united. His speeches were clear, powerful, and full of common sense. People admired him because he didn't just talk, he listened and thought deeply about America's problems. Chapter 4. Lincoln's Road to the Presidency. In 1860, Lincoln ran for president as a Republican. Many people didn't think he could win because he wasn't as well known as other candidates. But his debates, speeches, and honest reputation helped him gain support. When he won, the Southern states were furious because they feared he would end slavery. Before Lincoln could even take office, 7 Southern states seceded, left the Union, and formed the Confederacy. They elected their own president, Jefferson Davis. Lincoln faced the biggest crisis any president had ever seen. The country was splitting apart, and war seemed unavoidable. When Lincoln became president in March 1861, he tried to keep peace. He promised not to ban slavery where it already existed, but refused to let the South leave the Union. His goal was to save the United States, no matter what. But just a month later, the Civil War began when Confederate troops attacked Fort Sumter. Lincoln's presidency was the hardest in American history. He had to lead a divided nation through war while facing criticism from all sides. But he never gave up. His strength, wisdom, and deep belief in democracy kept him going during these dark times. Chapter 5: Lincoln as President During War. Becoming president during the Civil War was Lincoln's greatest challenge. The country was split in two, with Southern states fighting to leave the Union. Lincoln had to make tough decisions every day about war strategies and how to keep the nation together. Many people criticized him, but he stayed focused on saving the United States. Lincoln faced problems with his generals early in the war. Many were too cautious and didn't attack the Confederate armies aggressively enough. Lincoln studied military books late at night to understand war tactics better. He kept changing generals until he found Ulysses S. Grant, who would finally lead the Union to victory. The war caused terrible suffering with hundreds of thousands of deaths. Lincoln visited wounded soldiers and felt deep sadness about the losses. His face showed the strain. He developed deep wrinkles and dark circles under his eyes. But he never lost his sense of humor, often telling funny stories to relieve stress. Through all this, Lincoln grew as a leader. He learned to handle difficult people, make hard choices, and explain his decisions clearly to the public. His famous Gettysburg Address showed his wisdom and vision for a united country. The war tested him in every way possible. Chapter 6: The Emancipation Proclamation. Lincoln personally hated slavery, but had to move carefully on the issue. At first, he said he would keep slavery where it already existed to preserve the Union. But as the war continued, he realized ending slavery would help defeat the South and do what was right. In 1862, Lincoln wrote the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring slaves in Confederate states free. This changed the war's purpose. Now it was about freedom as well as unity. The proclamation didn't free all slaves immediately, but it gave hope to millions and allowed black men to join the Union Army. Some people criticized Lincoln for not going far enough, while others said he went too far. But he believed it was the right step at the time. The proclamation made European nations less likely to support the Confederacy, which helped the Union cause. This decision showed Lincoln's growth. He began his presidency willing to tolerate slavery to save the Union, but came to see that America couldn't survive half slave and half free. His thinking evolved through the war, showing his ability to learn and change. Chapter 7: Lincoln's Personal Struggles. Being president during war took a terrible toll on Lincoln's family life. His wife Mary suffered from severe headaches and mood swings after their son Willie died in 1862. Lincoln himself fell into deep sadness at times, carrying the weight of so many soldiers' deaths. Lincoln had a difficult marriage. Mary Todd Lincoln was emotional and sometimes embarrassing in public, while Lincoln was often withdrawn. But they loved each other, and Lincoln patiently endured her outbursts. When she bought expensive things during wartime, newspapers criticized her, which hurt Lincoln too. Their remaining son Tad was Lincoln's joy during these hard years. Lincoln spoiled him, letting the boy interrupt important meetings. After Willie's death, Lincoln became even more attached to Tad, taking him everywhere possible. Their relationship showed Lincoln's softer side. Despite these personal pains, Lincoln never let his family struggles affect his presidential duties. He kept working tirelessly, showing amazing strength of character. His ability to bear suffering while leading the country was remarkable. Chapter 8: The Gettysburg Address. In November 1863, Lincoln gave a short speech at a cemetery for Union soldiers who died at Gettysburg. The main speaker talked for 2 hours, but Lincoln's 2-minute speech became one of the most famous in history. Lincoln's words were simple but powerful. He said the dead soldiers had already dedicated the battlefield with their sacrifice. He called on the living to continue fighting, so government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth. At the time, many newspapers criticized the speech as too short and unimportant. But Lincoln had carefully crafted every word. He wanted to explain why the war mattered, not just to save the Union, but to prove democracy could work. Today, the Gettysburg Address is remembered as one of America's greatest speeches. It showed Lincoln's genius for saying profound things in simple language. In just 272 words, he defined what America stands for. Chapter 9: Winning the War and Re-election. By 1864, the war was going better for the Union, but Lincoln thought he might lose re-election. Many people were tired of fighting, and his opponent wanted peace talks with the South. Lincoln believed this would mean accepting slavery continued. Then Union victories changed everything. General Sherman captured Atlanta, and General Sheridan won battles in Virginia. Suddenly, people saw the war could be won. Lincoln won re-election easily, showing most Americans wanted to finish the fight. Lincoln worked hard to pass the 13th Amendment, ending slavery everywhere. He personally lobbied congressmen, something presidents rarely did. When it passed in early 1865, Lincoln called it a great moral victory. By April 1865, the war was nearly over. Lincoln visited captured Richmond, where freed slaves cheered him as a hero. In his last speech, he talked about rebuilding the nation and giving some black men voting rights. He was planning for peace when tragedy struck. Chapter 10: The Assassination and Legacy. On April 14, 1865, just days after the war ended, Lincoln went to see a play at Ford's Theater. Actor John Wilkes Booth, who supported the Confederacy, shot Lincoln in the head. The president died the next morning. The nation plunged into deep mourning. Millions came to see Lincoln's funeral train as it traveled across the country. People finally realized how much they loved and needed him. Even former enemies praised his fairness and leadership. Lincoln's death made him a martyr for freedom and unity. Over time, he became America's most admired president. His story, from poor farm boy to savior of the nation, inspired people worldwide. Today, Lincoln represents the best of America: honesty, courage, wisdom, and compassion. He proved one person of strong character can change history. His life shows how great good can come from humble beginnings. I hope you have enjoyed this book, but please support me with your like and subscription. Thank you.